Welcome to the Digital Amateur Television Experimenters Night. This is VK7OTC, the club station of the Radio and Electronics Association of Southern Tasmania. Amateur radio is a worldwide hobby that has many different aspects. Digital television is just one of the many modes and areas that are covered. Maybe you're interested in becoming involved in the DATV Experimenters Nights. You realise that you do not have to be a radio amateur or need any ATV equipment to participate anywhere in the world. Also participate in the night by coming up to the Queen's Domain clubrooms. Yes, right on top of the Queen's Domain in the heritage-listed Coast Wireless Station. You never know, we might get you in front of the camera or behind doing one of the many roles during the night. We get underway with our program on a Wednesday night from 7:30 p.m. local time. We'll see you soon. This is VK7 OTC.
Okay, this is VK7OTC, the club station of the Radio and Electronics Association of Southern Tasmania with our DATV Experimenters Night. And I have a few special guests in the studio. I'd like to introduce Margaret ZL3YK. Hello, Margaret.
YF.
YF? Oh, that was my fault.
I'm the wife.
Wife.
It's how I got it.
And Ken, ZL4KD. Who are here, or have been here for ALARAMeet 2023, which is absolutely huge over this last weekend. We'll get to that in a minute. I just want to do acknowledgement to country. Wish to acknowledge Tasmanian Aboriginal people as traditional owners of the land upon which we present tonight. Pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging, for they hold the memories, the knowledge and the culture and hopes of Aboriginal Tasmania. Now, have we got a show for you? Now, I think it was not just the weekend, was it, Margaret? There was some activities on the Friday, and then there was some activities on the Monday, and then there was a bunch of stuff in the middle.
Yeah. Friday there was an alternate trip. We didn't do it.
Okay.
We did arrive last Thursday, and we spent Friday traipsing around finding fabric shops.
Margaret's a quilter.
You guys don't know how lucky you are, because you have 5 really, really good quilting shops, all walking distance from where we were staying. We have to drive for an hour to get to decent places, so this was absolutely magic.
Okay.
And Ken's a very tolerant man, and I
and you have a very heavy suitcase going back.
I have 3 fat quarters, and I have 2 1.5 metre lengths to make Ken boxer shorts. This is to keep him happy and not complaining. And I've bought some other bits and pieces for me, some banana bobbins,
I love it.
You know, all the essentials. It's been a girls' trip. So that was our Friday. The people who did the trip had a really great time. They did a ferry trip or something.
Oh, hang on. We can show you. We can show you.
I don't think the alternate.
Friday.
Oh, it is there.
No,
Yeah. So the registrations opened at 4:00, and we caught up with people we'd met before. Ken and I had been to the Ken's ALARAMeet 6 years ago.
Oh my goodness, yes.
And we had such a good time at that, we said we'd come again. And then last year we had come over for your guys'
the convention and Hamfest.
We had an absolute ball.
Cool.
And we spent another week in Tassie after that finished last year, and we went home saying we had to come back. So ALARAMeet was a really good excuse, and we've just had a fabulous time. Yeah.
We did the trip on the Monday to Bruny.
And yes, and the other alternate program that we did, there were 2 different trips. We took the trip to Bruny Island and went to see the lighthouse and had lots of food and
cheese.
Yeah,
Bruny Island cheese.
Went to the cheese place, but they were too busy and you couldn't taste them, so it was. But went to the chocolate place, bought chocolate.
Ate it.
loving Tassie. Yeah, not standing on the scales for at least 3 weeks after I get home. Yeah, and so they were the alternative things.
Okay.
There was another group not yesterday. What day are we?
Monday.
On Monday that did a completely different trip. So there's 2 trips to choose from if you wanted to do them.
Huon Valley.
And they went where?
Huon Valley.
Huon Valley. Yes,
I don't think
yes.
so, and they saw a platypus. I came up on the Echolink
you're right.
net on Monday night. That's my first introduction to Echolink, so that was exciting. Don't understand how it works, but that's okay. But did it. But yeah, there were women on that said that they'd seen a platypus, so that was pretty special.
We actually have we have platypus pie. What's the plural for platypus? In the rivulet just down. Actually, where you're wearing the t-shirt, where you went to the female factory.
Yeah.
The Hobart rivulet has a number of platypus in it. Yeah.
Oh, I would have liked to have seen one.
But
next time.
Yeah.
Next time.
Mainly at night. They're nocturnal.
Okay. Yeah. So the whole weekend was incredibly well organised. Food was just magnificent. Lots of it.
We'll show you the menu soon in a minute.
Anyway, we didn't really eat much on Monday night. Nothing. We really weren't very hungry. It's taken us a couple of days to want to eat again, but the food was great.
So what happened then on the weekend proper? So on the Saturday and the Sunday.
On the Saturday, we all got together and met, and there was the obligatory, welcome to everybody. And so we started with people talking about the weekend, what was going to happen, and yeah.
There's multiple pages for Saturday because there was so much happening.
Partly because the way this is folded is quite a little. It's an A5, but it's been stapled in the middle, which is really rather nice because it fits in a pocket. So we had the welcome from Michelle VK2AYL, who's the president of ALARA, and then they took the guys away and left the women to their own means, which was really great.
We got taken off
we went off to the Salamanca Market first, and we wandered around, and yeah, we didn't buy anything down there, but it's always good to see what people have. And then the guys went off in a shuttle bus. Justin.
Lead us straight.
Meanwhile,
they already know about that because I've been doing lots of promos about the Mystery History Radio too. So.
The afternoon for the women was listening to Michelle VK2AYL and her mother Norma VK2YL. They were talking about getting young people on the air, and they had a couple of very practical activities on the tables that we could play with, including a morse bracelet.
I love it.
Which it's just a brilliant activity, really simple. The instructions were great. We were given the alphabet, and we were told we could make our names. So you've got long bugle beads as the dashes, and you've got some very little beads for your dots, and then you've got just larger different ones as spaces. And so I've got the da 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 da. So if you can't read that, you don't know my call sign. That's the only Morse I know. One day.
What a great activity! That would be a great Jota activity.
I loved this.
Well,
I
put on
loved
the
this.
Put on the report.
That
I
would
loved
be-
that with a passion. This is
that would be a really.
it's brilliant. It was such fun to do, and
I love it.
you know you don't want to do a name like Margaret because it's too long. So call sign was perfect.
Well, that could be a necklace.
Well, it could
Love
be.
the word.
It could be, and I just really like the fact that it's bright and it's fun colours
And it actually
was
means something.
easy to do, and it's a
Kids can do it.
great way to remember the call sign.
That's a great idea.
And if I was an 8-year-old or a 10-year-old, I would want to make that. So I think that's brilliant, and that's why I show it to you because I
Cool.
think it's worth doing. Then we had Shirley VK5YL talked about the ANZA net, and she talked about some various bits and pieces around the management of things like that. We heard from Catherine VK7GH, VK7C about all of her contesting stuff that she's done. That was really interesting. You know, the details of what she gave. I'd still like to sit down with somebody one day and actually be taken through how to do it. Hearing it in a talk probably wasn't quite enough for me to really grasp how to do it. But she talked a lot about how to do the logging of it and how to make sure that you got the right number of people and all of that. And then we had a talk from Marija VK5MAZ about parks, and that was I've heard various talks about this, and so that the stuff that wasn't new for me. Ken and I have been catching and hunting parks and sodas and
Cool.
you know
Lakes
lakes
and
and whatever.
Yep. Lakes on the air. Now hold that thought.
Hold that thought. Okay. Holding that
Hold that
thought.
thought.
Okay, got it.
Hold that thought.
Yeah, so I mean that just reinforced what I already knew, and yeah,
Okay.
it's great. And then Sue VK5AYL talked to us about the app that she's developed
Yep.
to alert hunters when there's a park on the air. She hadn't done an app before, and she set out to learn how to do it. And did it. I think hers is Apple because there was already an Android
Correct,
one
yes.
available.
Yep.
Well, that was interesting. You know,
I've actually heard that talk at a Gibbs Tech,
okay.
actually. So yeah, good, great talk. And the fact that she hadn't done anything like that before, and she threw herself into it and came up with a fantastic application. I just full credit to her. It's just great,
Yeah.
really good.
So that finished off the afternoon, and we had a couple of hours free, and then had dinner in the conference area, like where we were at the old wool store, and the dinner speaker was Alison Alexander. I do want to show the people what you eat.
There is the menu.
If you can read it.
If you can, oh yeah, you'll be able to. Oh, maybe not. Okay. No, go the other direction, Justin. No, maybe not. Anyway, yes.
Anyway, the food was magnificent.
Off the show.
And the meals were large, and it was great.
The Sunday night there were 3 courses.
There were 3 courses for the first night
Oh yes, sorry, there
because the petit
were
fours,
Petit fours.
petit four, isn't it?
I
Oh no,
love
that's
it.
different.
I love it.
Petit fours. They were served with tea and coffee, and I decided to skip that because we'd had such a big. So I had the mustard crusted Longford beef sirloin.
Ditto. Yes.
With a red wine juice. So it's got your name in it. Did you have the chicken breast?
Yes.
Ken had the prosciutto wrapped Nichols chicken breast. I don't know who Nichols chicken was.
That's our local chicken provider.
Okay,
Yes.
so that would be like us saying Tegel.
Oh,
Gotcha.
okay. There you go.
With an apple cider sauce. And they were served with veggies and local potatoes, and it was great.
And I had to ask somebody what chantilly was.
Shanti.
I was.
Well,
Sweet.
Chantilly.
I'm showing way.
It's whipped cream with a bit of vanilla, and they had some other
It's sweet whipped
spicy,
cream.
lovely.
Yes.
Yeah. So it was good. The guest speaker, Alison Alexander, was magnificent. She spoke for 20 minutes, half an hour,
truly.
all from memory.
Yep.
And she was fascinating, talking about the women's
Female factory.
the female factory, and how the women got there, and all the details about that, and that set us up with a lot of knowledge, so that on Sunday morning, which we now get to,
Now, don't forget the bonnets.
oh yes, well I didn't do the bonnet, somebody told me off for that, but we came with only carry-on, so it was a case of washing our own knickers halfway through the week.
Too much information.
And sorry, do they not want to know that?
Can't use them as bonnets.
And my sun hat was navy, and that wasn't going to do. A lot of the women had made and brought and wore bonnets. Somebody had the bonnet I think they said their grandmother had made, which is pretty special.
Okay.
Real
bonnet.
Yeah, real bonnet. And that was kind of a nod to those women in the past who used to dress like that all the time, and it was just a fun thing to do. When we were in Cairns, they had a pirate night.
Oh, okay.
And so, this time it was about the women at the factory, so that was cool.
Okay.
Yeah, so Sunday morning we trundled off to the factory where there was a bus, and we all got on it and we all got off it. And the woman who did the dramatised talk, I don't know that I would call it dramatised, but she definitely told us a lot about, I think it was 6 individuals that she had researched over many decades.
Okay.
And she knew everything about them and what they'd done to be sent out, and the infractions that they had committed whilst they were in the factory, and the children that they'd had and had taken away from them. And I found the tour quite confronting. Just the whole thing about, the statement of the ship's surgeon, what is it?
A notorious strumpet and a most dangerous girl.
So I bought the T-shirt because I thought, women have often been put down, talked about, and back 100 and however many years ago, those women had a terrible time. The men treated them very badly. The women had no say in their life back in their own country. They were sent out here to a strange land. Really the only way out of the terrible, destitute lives that they had was to get married. Quite probably to men they didn't like, and who would never have been the men they chose.
Correct.
If they had all the money in the world.
Organised and arranged.
We were told that the soldiers used to sit up the hill and whistle to the girls and, "What's your name?" And if they could get a name out of a girl, they'd go and say, "I'd like to marry that one." And the women agreed to it just to get out of prison. So I can't imagine that they were good relationships.
And the ratio, Alison mentioned the ratio, it was six men to one woman. It was something like that. It was 6 to 1 or something, or 10 to 1 or something. It was scary ratio.
I actually thought that was a bit surprising, because I thought it would have been more like 100 men to 1 woman.
100 to 1. Oh my God.
But because women were scarce in the new countries, women didn't go out to do the gold mining. The women went out to keep the men happy. They went if they were married to them, and they went to make a fast buck with their feet in the air. Because there was no other choices really. I found it very confronting.
Okay.
But well worth going. If you haven't been, it's well worth going to it and having a look.
Correct.
And taking the time to read a bit about it and think a bit about the history of the colony, and how today we would not do this.
Thank goodness.
Anyway,
goodness.
from there,
yes,
we came up here, and Shirley VK5YL ran some
The
Echolink, which I missed hearing, but that's cool. There was a barbecue lunch, which was wonderful, and we also had a fox hunt, which was such fun.
Yes.
Loved the fox hunt. I've only ever,
The snakes.
only ever done one other fox hunt, and that was at the Ken's ALARAMeet. So
Okay.
had to do it this time. I wore my socks with the fox on, my lucky fox socks.
Ah, see, that worked. See?
It worked.
The snakes away.
And I got it. I got a prize, as did several other people. So thank you
Oh,
for
no,
my prize.
definitely.
My prize was a bookmark with a heart in a heart shape, and that will be put to good use at some stage.
Cool.
We went back to the old wool store, and then we had we went to Richmond.
Oh, Richmond, yes.
Richmond was again. What a lovely place! I just overwhelmed by the beauty of Tasmania. Oh, yeah, okay, we've got a
can put
better
it on
system.
here.
So we're given the wee map. We wandered around. We found a shop that sold ice cream, and we
Oh,
started with that.
The lolly shop.
Yeah,
Of course, nobody went to the lolly shop. Yes.
yeah.
Or the puzzle shop.
And then we went to the puzzle shop, and we managed to buy a present for a wee girl that we know that's turning 8 in 2 weeks' time.
Oh, okay.
And
okay.
so we did that.
Fantastic.
Then we went back to the wool store. Am I allowed to say that now?
Yes.
Okay. And we had dinner.
Again.
More
This
food.
is the other menu. And this has entrees, mains, and desserts. And we'll just point out a few, some very nice.
Oh yes. The entree that we both had was premium Tasmanian smoked salmon with local pea tendrils, candied beetroot and saffron aioli.
Which was divine.
It was divine. it was good. There was a lot of it. It was good. There was also orange soy roasted Rennick Farm quail with rice noodles and Asian vegetable salad, and everyone I know that had the quail said it was just perfect. What did you have?
No, I had the salmon.
Yeah, it was good.
Quite a few people had the quail, and I didn't have quail because I just think quail is hard work for what you get.
It's kind of like eating a mouse. Isn't it?
Correct, yes.
Yeah. All those pies. Yeah.
I'll stick with the chook.
Yeah. And then the mains, I had the roasted Tasmanian lamb shoulder, and I swear I was given a whole lamb shoulder. It was
Very nice.
massive piece of meat. It was just an incredible amount. And that came with a semolina gnocchi. It was actually more like a polenta, just in the shape, because it was a rectangular thing. And there were peas and seared broccolini, finished with a mint jus. And the other option was oven-baked trevella fillet, garlic and herb crust, roasted carrot puree, sautéed zucchini and tomato with a beurre blanc.
Everyone's salivating on
And what did you think of the fish?
Very nice.
Okay,
Yeah.
fantastic.
It was a very large helping.
I think the more people had the trevella on our table than the lamb shoulder. I had the lamb shoulder.
Oh, the lamb was good, but it would have fed 3 people. It was massive. And dessert, there was this layered red velvet gâteau, and the look on Ken's face when that came out was the look of a 5-year-old at Christmas.
And the pieces were not small.
It was a good 180 mil high, and every second layer was cream. And
On a diet for 3 months.
yeah, and that came with a cream cheese frosting, a berry coulis, and chocolate bark, and it looked divine. I had the blueberry frangipani tart.
Okay.
With Meander Valley double cream and caramelised apples, and it was pretty bloody good.
I love it.
Not that my world revolves around food.
No, but it helps.
And now there's proof on television that it does.
I love it.
It was a very good meal.
And can I just point out on the table was not only the menu, but on the first night it was this bookmark, which is the floral emblem of Tasmania, the blue gum, and then on the Sunday night it was the Tassie Devil. and when we registered, we were given obviously the program, which we've showed you, but we were also given a beautiful little notebook. Now, I didn't realise that the male and the female ones were actually different. So the female ones had the blue gum on the front, and the male ones had the Tassie Devil on the front. And there is an awful lot of work goes into those transfers.
Yeah.
I was sitting with Catherine on the Saturday night, who gave us all the whole thing about what goes into them. So yes,
her daughter and her had worked for hours on these.
Correct.
The little notebook is just exquisite. The women's name tags had the blue gum beside the name, and I haven't got any more.
I love it. I
Filed
love
it. And the men's one had the Tassie Devil, which I thought was quite appropriate, really.
It's good.
I mean, you know, guys don't want to be a blue gum, really. And they are Tassie
Devils. The guys
Devils.
went on the mystery tour with Justin and went to all sorts of places.
Yeah, well, the mystery history, and that's a good segue, Ken. You can give us a bit of a.
Do you want to just finish off?
Oh, sorry. Yes.
Finish off Sunday night.
That was fantastic.
We had Phil Tyson from the Sound Preservation Association of Tasmania was the dinner speaker, and he had put together a talk that was not just comprehensive, it focused on women, so it was entirely appropriate to the thing that we were at, but he had also included snippets of sound so that we got the illustrative orally of
It's fantastic.
what we were listening to, and so there were just all sorts of little bits, women's voices.
Correct.
From
We had Blue
Ben
Hills,
Wilson.
we had all sorts of things.
It was a delightful talk. It was probably one of the best talks I've heard in a long time. Actually, both of the talks were good, very, very different. Phil gets full marks from me because he did it all by himself. He's standing up there, he's talking, he's starting the recording so that you get the right sound in the background, as well as
the PowerPoints
doing
and
the PowerPoint. And I give him 12 out of 10, and I told him that it was very well done.
Yeah.
It was very professionally done, and we should all listen to that more often, I think. It was just really interesting, and just the whole history of how women got involved in radio, and
Yeah. In broadcast radio, and there were elements of amateur radio in there as well. So of course there was Florence McKenzie in there at a couple of points in the presentation, and how women got involved with broadcasting and eventually ended up in front of the microphone as well.
Yeah.
So it was really really good. And I love the sound bites. They were good.
But again, horrific. One woman had to resign from her position when she got married.
Yes.
Because married women were not permitted to be working for Australian Broadcasting. And
ABC, yes.
And then her husband died.
her husband died, so it was okay. She was allowed to
Yeah.
apply for a job and come back.
Yeah. That's
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
making this woman cross.
welcome to the public service in the
40s and 50s.
in the 40s and 50s and probably earlier than that. But anyway, it's just
Yep.
but and the irony in all of that is they were allowed to then do the broadcasting and everything whilst the war was on, because of course the men had all gone off, and they were allowed to do it then, but they had to all stop because the men come back.
That's right.
Which just, you've got to be kidding.
Yep.
That's just...
And it happened in New Zealand too. And
Okay.
Injustice, injustice, and injustice.
A layer upon layer.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, you also have, and I didn't realise that the organising committee had also put together for surrounding ALARAMeet, like there is a monuments and statues. I don't know whether I can fit this. There's a monuments and statues handout, which is the Salamanca waterfront monuments and statues. Then there is
And on the flip side of that,
is the map.
So you
Hobart
could
City
actually
Central
find
map.
them.
Cool. And then there is a things to do around the old wool store and Hobart waterfront, which is all of the Mawson's Replica Museum, which I think you went to today.
Yep.
And the TMAG and the Maritime Museum and all of this sort of stuff. So just like huge amount of effort's gone into this.
And it was all done by
Catherine's daughter.
Catherine and her daughter. And this also had the places to eat.
Well, and there's and inside. Wait, there's more.
Yeah.
Places to eat in and around the Hobart, around Hobart.
All the stuff that's close to the wool store.
I love it.
It gave you a distance to walk.
Yeah. Right down to how
Oh
far.
yeah, and the Woolworths you were talking about. Yes,
Yeah,
downstairs.
yeah.
Yes.
The level of detail on the documentation we were given was superb. We didn't use all of it, but it was there and we could have.
Other people, some of the others.
The organisation of this was extremely well done. From the goodie bags, but you know the
show bags.
The bag is really nice because it was paper and recyclable, reusable. All the information that we needed was in it, including. I don't know. It wasn't that. There was the handout. The
so
promotional
where
stuff.
they actually went.
Yeah, and also the Richmond.
Yep.
So that we could pre-read stuff if we wanted to, and then there was this other information. Yeah, the level of attention to detail was very impressive on the organising committee, and they really deserve a huge pat on their back.
Definitely.
And you know, we're certainly looking forward to the next ALARAMeet Hobart.
Well and truly.
Where is it? It's Melbourne,
26th
of July 2025.
Stream is not coming through properly for some reason. I think that might be Brodie. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's
Cool.
it from me basically.
Well, I'll cut to
You can talk to the
Ken.
Bruny Island. I'll sit back now and listen.
So the Mystery History Radio Tour, because I've been banging on about it for ages. So, what was your impression of the Mystery History Radio Tour of Hobart?
Interesting, because we've been here last year for the Tasty Ham Fest, and we've been to Mount Wellington before, so and we've been to Mount Nelson, which is one of the places we went to very quickly with you. And the Stephmore station out there, and the number of arms on the station, and the combinations you could get for signalling out to the different settlements around the bay, and the character speed basically that we worked it through to
5 words a minute.
5 words a minute, so out to Port Arthur, or not Port Arthur, what do you call it, Mount Arthur?
No, Port Arthur, down to Port Arthur.
Yeah.
So they could get a message to Port Arthur, a 15 character message in about 20 minutes.
Yeah.
So using
It's not very fast.
Correct, but at the time it was new. It was hot technology. It was.
We saw some of the military observer stations and that for Hobart, to protect Hobart.
Cool.
Interestingly, back in World War I era, worried about the Russians invading, and then you went up to the observation point and then down to a light station down and the light, what do you call the embankment still there, and there's a house basically built around this little lighthouse.
Correct.
We came out to here to have a look at the Jersey Maritime Museum and that as well, which is interesting.
Cool.
And all the different radios there, so
fantastic.
What else do we do on our rounds? Oh, the barracks.
The Anglesey Barracks.
Barracks, which
Heard all about Winnie the War Winner.
Yeah.
So I think the one who commented about that was actually the bus driver.
Yes.
Because he was an ex-defence guy who spent a lot of time at the Australian War Memorial. So there you go. So there you go, Stuart. I kept calling him Graham, unfortunately. But anyway, just brain fart.
It was definitely an interesting tour, and we had to get back on time because Justin had been threatened with all sorts of.
I got to get him back to the wool store at 4:30.
Your timing was very good.
So yes.
So yeah, it was a
Your
good,
timing was
that's
very
good.
good.
it's a very good trip, good day out to, or afternoon out to see
Oh,
the
yeah.
interesting sights of Hobart.
Hear a bit more about what goes on. So
Yep.
good stuff. Well, that is fantastic, and thank you for coming on to the DATV night.
The pleasure's all yours.
And Ken, you now have seen behind the scenes.
Oh.
Yes, yes.
Ken is always on the always on the stream. So
I have to watch
Ken-
it next morning because of their time zone and that on it.
Ken has been saying for 3 months, I wonder if I can convince them to pick me up and let me see how they do the TV. So thank you,
I love it.
thank you, thank you, because now he won't be going on about it. Or he might.
I love it.
He will
I love
now
it.
tell me about
we
it.
can't do DATV in New Zealand because of the frequency allocations and that. So,
okay,
So-
not quite right. So
yeah, we
so-
can't do it in 440 megs and there's no space there.
yeah, okay,
So,
okay.
and no one else, set boxes don't go high enough frequency to do what we can do at 900.
So are you happy now?
Yes, yeah. You've got it on film, on record now.
Oh, there you go. That is fantastic. All right, we might do a bit of a reset, and I'll thank Margaret and Ken for coming in and for coming across the Tasman Sea to ALARAMeet, and for spending some time telling us all about ALARAMeet. That's been fantastic.
Thank you for having us.
Easy peasy. All right, we'll just do a quick reset of the studio, and we will be right back. Here. Okay, we're back in the studio. I've got Rex VK7MO. Evening, Rex.
Hello, Justin.
How are you going?
All right, I'm sort of feeling better actually.
Fantastic.
Yes.
Okay. Now, I've got Rex in the studio because a few days ago, the 5th and 6th of November, we actually had a... Now, let me get this right. I think that's... Can we go to there? No, let's go to there. That's a bit better. We actually had a CME event. Yes? No?
I'm not sure that it was a CME. I think it might have been a magnetic filament.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I've got to get the nuance
But
right
I'm
there.
not absolutely sure.
Right, okay. So, let's... Okay. Alright. Let's go to there. Alright. Let's take us through what happened.
Okay, well, this is a summary, and what Brodie was listening most of the time, and I was transmitting, but I was also receiving Brodie as well.
Okay.
But for various reasons, like visitors who didn't enjoy the fan of his transmitter while they were trying to sleep and other things. He wasn't transmitting all the time, so
Okay.
we'll base this talk on what Brodie received.
Okay.
And over these 2 nights, because it was mainly at night that you get auroral scatter, he received 1,005 decodes from me on 6 metres and another 908 on 2 metres.
So he obviously had 2 systems going.
He had 2 systems going, and part of this talk will be about some odd effects that happened.
Okay, all right.
And before we go past that,
sorry.
the best signal of 6 metres was plus 11 dB, and we will be able to tell you what that sounds like. And on 2 metres it was plus 1 dB, and the weakest decode was minus 22 on 6 metres, minus 26 on 2 metres.
Okay.
And bearing in mind we're using 15C, that's about the limit which you could...
So 26, minus 26.
Well, actually, about minus 22 is about the limit. So
Ooh, okay.
I think just statistically you
Okay.
you do a bit better. So it's working pretty well.
Wow. 11. Plus,
Yeah,
that's plus 11.
Yes. Now this is just an example of the sort of decodes that Brodie's getting from me on 2 metres. We'll go on. Now this is a kilogram, and yes, I don't know whether you can point with the mouse.
I can't. Oh, no, hang on. Let me go back a bit. Yes, I can.
Now, the dark bit before this is when it was cloudy and you couldn't see any aurora.
Yep.
And if you go right back, it was
There's
daylight,
clear sky.
and you're getting cloud reflections and sunlight.
Yep.
So it's only this last little bit, but that's several hours.
And that's extending.
It's extending overhead in Hobart.
Yeah.
Which is, I think, the first time we've seen it go that far.
Okay.
Next slide. Now, this is the KP index as determined after the event. The top one being NOAA.
Yep.
And the bottom one being the Bureau of Meteorology or Australian region forecast.
Okay.
Now, the NOAA's always a lot more optimistic than the Australian region, but if we then get
the profile's the same.
yes,
It's just lower.
Yes. If we go to the next slide, we can see this in a bit more detail. This is the Australian region, and the black line, which is when we actually receive signals. There was a little burst, and then it was almost continuous.
Yep.
Then the next day it was a couple of little bursts, and it stopped at the end of that yellow.
Yep.
And went down into the green. Unfortunately, it came yellow again, but we'd given up. So it may have come...
Okay. It may.
It may have come back.
Okay.
But the important thing is, if you look at the top, you can see when magnetic midnight is.
So that's magnetic midnight.
And in general, your best signals are a combination of high AKP combined with around the evening or magnetic midnight.
So this was before magnetic midnight, and that was after. Okay.
Now, you would expect before magnetic midnight to be positive, and after magnetic midnight to be negative. Doppler.
Okay.
There's a slight anomaly, but largely that proves to be the case.
Okay.
Now we go to the next slide. Now this is the Doppler as Brodie decoded it, and it's the 6 metre is the blue, and it looks very odd, like it's sort of has a bottom value, but doesn't go any further down, whereas 2 metres is much higher.
Yeah.
Now, we've at least discovered that this was all a function. You can see where 2 metres starts to go up, there is a little peak on the top side, but it's as if the thing's being clipped on the bottom side. Now, Brodie's using two instances of WSJTX, one on 6 metres and one on 2 metres.
Okay.
And in the next slide, I got him to decode. Oh, well, first, we were trying to work out whether all these 6 metre ones were meteors, which would have very little Doppler.
Okay.
But
Pings.
when Brodie looked at the trace, it's all spread like as if there's still meteor scatter, and this one here we'll just play. Were meteors.
Now, let me just do something here, Rex, because I realise what...
Yeah, Brodie's saying that there's a time difference. Meteor scatter, and this one here we'll just play. Okay, we probably can't really pick that out. Yeah, Brodie's saying that there's a time difference.
That's the 11.
Yes, the plus 11 dB on 6 metres. Can't really pick that out. Now, that established that this was real auroral, and the interesting thing is, at this time, Brodie was decoding with 720 hertz of Doppler all the time, which is really 20 hertz of Doppler because we're transmitting at 700.
Okay. So that stayed solid. That.
Yes, which you wouldn't expect because this is sloping a little bit. Now, Brodie sent me these files and I decoded them, and the Doppler was 740, 733 and
Variable.
720.
Yeah. So you are actually seeing that,
Yes.
that movement. Yeah. Okay.
Now, what Brodie then did was decoded these files with the same instance that he was using on 2 metres, and he got the same as me.
So there's a difference of version.
It's not version, an identical version of WSJTX, and as far as we can tell, both versions set up identically.
Okay. What's going on?
So, now,
That's a bit weird.
it is a bit weird, and we can't really explain it. What we're hoping to do is get a few more people to decode these files and see whether they get the same effect.
Okay.
However, to overcome the problem, we think we just got Brodie to use his 2 metre instance,
Okay.
and the next slide shows you what we got. And now 6 metres is all over the place, no bottom limit or anything else.
Okay.
And it seems realistic. In fact, the 6 metre data is very similar to the data I was getting.
Okay. All right.
What is still a worry is you would expect that there would be a ratio of about 3 to 1.
Yeah.
And you clearly at this point there's a ratio of about 4 to 1.
Yeah.
And here a ratio of 2 to 1.
So 4 to 1 in this region,
Yes.
and then this comes down, so it's 2 to 1.
And then even earlier, they're almost
1 to 1.
1 to 1.
Yeah, okay.
Now we've still got this little worry about is different instances measuring correct.
Same thing, yeah.
But we're pretty sure this is accurate.
Yeah, okay.
An accurate measure.
Okay.
And then we've got to look for a reason why the Doppler is not a factor of 3 to 1 difference, and why sometimes it's much less and sometimes much more. The only thing I can put it down to is the beam width of the antennas is vastly different, 4 element on 6 metres, and so they're probably looking at a different part of the sky at different times, and when
or much more of the sky.
Or much more.
Yeah, okay.
But at the moment, this is an interesting fact.
Definitely.
Next slide. Now on the 6th, which is before magnetic in midnight is 1332, so this is only up to 10.
Yeah, okay.
So before magnetic midnight, both are giving positive Doppler.
Yep.
Although there's certainly much more than a 3 to 1 difference.
Well and truly.
So, and this came and went, but so it was more marginal.
Yeah. But it also, that KP index had come back again.
Yes.
Come down.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Now, if we just go back one.
Yep.
This is after magnetic midnight, which is 13.
And they're flipped.
And they flipped.
Yeah.
Well, they didn't really, you see. Even before, there was 2 metres was definitely negative.
Yeah, okay.
Now, whether that means, you've got these 2 cyclical things going around the Auroral Oval in the opposite directions, which is why you get the change.
Okay.
And whether that means I was still picking up
the previous
cycle.
Yep, okay. Because that wouldn't be a hard change. That would be a transition.
Well, it's a transition because your antenna beam width is much wider.
Okay.
And depending on which part is actually ionised, you could still be on the previous bit.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, next slide. So now this is a look at the Auroral Oval as forecast by NOAA using their 30 to 45 minute forecast. So it gives a forecast in advance with the Lagrange satellite.
Yep, okay.
And you can see the Auroral Oval at the start on the 5th was a long way from Tasmania and nil decode. We'll just go through. It's getting closer, but still need nil decode. Now it's actually got even past Tasmania.
Yeah.
And we're getting decodes.
There were pictures being posted from Victoria, so...
Right.
So, yeah.
Now it's got backed off a bit.
Okay.
But it's still obviously close enough to Victoria for Brodie to see it, because we're getting decodes.
Okay.
Then there was a period from 13 to 1400, which I don't have where we lost the decodes.
Okay.
But there were decodes up to 1300 here.
Okay.
And then the next slide, a bit further at 1400, and there was nothing. Then it came back a bit closer to Tassie, and we got decodes, and closer again, and decodes, decodes.
You can see it starting to...
Yeah, and now still decodes, still decodes, still decodes, and now it's pulled too far away.
Yeah, okay.
And
that's quite good. That would be a good, good animation.
Yes. Yes, and then you kick it going, and you can see
And it's gone.
it's gone. So the next slide is just a repeat of what the Doppler was doing
Okay.
during this that whole sweep.
Meters and to lesser extent 6 meters negative as well before magnetic wind died. Okay, yep.
Yeah. Next slide.
Okay.
Findings that decoding depends on a combination of KP combined with the auroral oval being around magnetic midnight, which
Okay.
essentially means in the evening our time.
Yep.
And the next slide, issues.
Mm.
Why Doppler result changes with instance of WSJTX, and when I agreed to give this talk, I didn't realise I had this problem, so all I can do is say, I don't know.
Yeah, I've got a problem and it needs to be worked out.
Why the ratio of Doppler between 2 and 6 metres varies from the expected 2.87, which is what it should be,
Yep.
over a range of sort of 1.5 to 4. We do need to sort out the accuracy of Brodie's 6 metre receiver,
Okay.
because that can add an offset.
And that's not GPS locked.
It's not GPS locked. He's getting one of these high accuracy 10 meg crystals, which it's a 7610, is it?
Oh, 7610. Oh.
Which
nice.
all you've got to do is put a 10 meg reference in.
Okay.
Okay. So we've got to sort that out, and the VKKP index is less than the null one, which I don't know why, but it just seems consistently.
You know, it is in all the ones
Yes.
that you've shown. It's always been less. And you originally said that NOAA have a much greater range of data source.
Yeah.
So yeah, okay.
We don't really know.
No.
Other words, I think the VK one is better representative of what's happening here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And correlates with the oval
Yeah.
predictions and forecasting anyway. Okay.
All right, that was it.
Well, there you go. So you're now full boot on the on what's been happening in the auroral propagation research side. Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Well, the sunspot cycle should continue to rise over the next 12 to 18 months.
Okay.
So there may be some even stronger auroral openings.
Okay. Well, wait for the next rounds.
Yes. Okay.
And see whether we can, in the meanwhile, get to the bottom of the
different instances of WSJTX.
giving different Doppler shift. That sounds a bit scary. That's a bit. That's fairly fundamental parts of the code.
And the interesting thing, the rest of the decode, such as the call signs, the signal report, are all identical.
Okay.
So it's the mechanism of measuring Doppler.
That varies. That appears to be varying.
Yes.
Okay. Well, there you go.
Okay, thank you, Justin.
Thank you, Rex. That is both fantastic but also troubling.
Yes. Yeah.
And I love those kilograms. Andrews and his kilograms, and just phenomenal.
By the way, they're available on the web.
Yeah.
All the time.
Andrews from Andrews' website.
Yes.
Yes. But that it just showed the fact that it was well into Hobart and beyond.
Yeah, and which also showed up in the Royal Oval stuff.
Yes, yeah. It was over the whole of Tasmania.
Yes.
And into Bass Strait, well and truly into
Yes.
Bass Strait. So just phenomenal. So yeah, and there's been lots of people posting some pretty impressive photographs.
All right.
So it's good. All right.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Rex.
No worries.
And thank you for dropping Ken and Margaret.
Oh, we can easily do that. Okay.
We and look forward to the next segment. The next segment. Oh no, fantastic.
Okay.
All right. Thanks, Rex. All right. I did have one more thing here, but what I will do, we're at 8:30, so I will tie that over for next time. Just a couple of reminders before we go. The NTARC auction hosting, the Shat Clear Out auction, which is on Saturday, the 25th of November, which is in a couple of weeks' time. They have an ever-increasing number of lots. The last look that I had was well over 120, so well worth a look. You can go to the website under notices. It's www.ntarc.net, and you go to the notices page. You can get a listing there. So there's some very impressive bits of equipment, very impressive bits of historic equipment if you're into all sorts of historic equipment. Now, on the 3rd of December, so the next weekend after that, Reast is holding a barbecue, car boot sale and fox hunts. It's our end of year celebration after a huge 2023. So it's up here after the broadcast from 11 o'clock or so. If you are coming along, then please, if you could let the secretary know, Tony, know, just so that we've got an idea about how much food we've got to have. That would be fantastic. But that's save that date, 3rd of December 2023 for our end of year barbecue. So I'll call it quits at that. Thank you for those people who are out there, and anybody who has stumbled across the stream. I hope you'll be coming back, and we'll catch you next week. This has been VK7 Oscar Tango Charlie OTC, the club station of the Radio and Electronics Association of Southern Tasmania, with our DATV Experimenters Night. And we'll catch you next time, 73.